Hello and welcome to the Week 13 recap video. This week we had quite a lot of games, and a lot of them didn't go the way I expected. Um, but we're going to go right into it because I got a lot of stuff to go through this week. Number 15, Navy at Houston. I had picked Navy to win this game. I thought Navy was doing really well this season, and I didn't think it was going to be a runaway. I just thought they could handle Houston. Houston came out and played hard. They wanted this game badly. Not to say that Navy didn't want the game as well, but I think Houston just had a larger pool of talent than Navy can pull from. So I got the pick wrong, but it was a good win for Houston. This was not an easy Navy team to beat. The next game was Western Michigan at number 24 Toledo. Now, Toledo had struggled with a few games this season, most of them recent weeks. I thought that was going to continue, but I thought they could come out with the win here. Western Michigan Western Michigan came out and played some really good football against this team and managed to knock off Toledo and get a conference win for themselves. Next was number 20 Washington State at Washington. I had picked Washington to win, and they did win the game, but I thought it was going to be a little closer than it was. I thought that this Washington team was a great team, and they've won some really good quality games, and that they were just as good as this Washington State team. However, Washington came out and destroyed Washington State. It's a great win for the program because now they got a win over a top 20 team while they were ranked in the top 20. They have a second one this season, I believe, because they beat USC while they were ranked. Now, the USC win's looking even better because USC is now in the conference championship. At 6-6, this is honestly, I think, one of the better 6-6 teams this year, and I think they should definitely get a bowl game. Next, I had number 4 Iowa at Nebraska. Now, I picked Iowa to win this game, and they did, but they let Nebraska hang around too long. They had several times during the game where Iowa could have put the game away with another score, but be it a field goal or a touchdown, whatever, it could have helped put the game away, and they just kept falling short of that. And they let Nebraska come back in the game and make it a close one to a point where Nebraska had a chance to win the game, to tie the game in the closing minutes. So I picked Iowa, and they won. I got that right, but it was a little too close for comfort if you're an Iowa fan. Next is Oregon State at number 17, Oregon. I picked Oregon to win the game, and they did. But the thing that surprised me about this was not that it was high scoring, but how high scoring. The final was 52-45. By the way, the first time in this rivalry's history that a team has scored 42 points and lost the rivalry game. Oregon State scored 45, but because they had to keep up with Oregon. So Oregon won it 52-45. The next one on the list was number 7 Baylor at number 19 TCU. Now, I picked Baylor, and part of what bugs me about this is I picked Baylor under the impression that Boykin was not going to play. I made a misinformed choice. I didn't do the proper research on that, but Boykin played for TCU, and he was the difference for that team. Baylor looked to be out on a roll. They scored on their first 2 drives, and TCU kept with them, but slowed them down later on. And they actually, in the opening part of the second quarter, forced a fumble and returned it 56 yards for a touchdown to tie the game at 14, where it stayed until overtime. Literally 12 and a half minutes or so in the second quarter, the TCU ties the game, and it stays 14-14 from that point to the halftime, and then from halftime to the end of the fourth quarter. Now, in overtime, Baylor won the toss. TCU won the toss, elected to go on defense first. And Baylor gets the ball first, scores a touchdown. TCU now knows they need a touchdown to keep the game going. So TCU scores the touchdown and kicks the extra point this time, unlike last week where they went for 2 against Oklahoma for the win. So it comes in. They score the touchdown. It's now 21-21 going into double overtime. TCU goes first. Now TCU, riding the momentum of scoring that touchdown, scores again. And that puts it at a 28-21 lead for them. Then Baylor goes 4 and out, gets stopped on a 4th and 1, and TCU wins the game. It was a heck of a game, and I got it wrong. I picked Baylor, and TCU won it. Another one I got wrong. You're going to hear that a lot in this video. I had number 8 Ohio State at number 10 Michigan. I had picked Michigan. I thought their defense could handle this Ohio State team, especially after how Michigan State had handled them. Boy, did Ohio State prove me wrong. They rolled Michigan. They only had a 14-10 lead at halftime, but they outscored Michigan 28-3 in the second half to take the final score of 42-13. I got that one wrong awfully. But it's a quality win for Ohio State, and it puts them back in a position where if somebody in the top 4 completely messes up this upcoming weekend, then Ohio State could potentially get back into the playoffs. Next is number 1 Clemson at South Carolina. I picked Clemson. I did think it was going to be a marginally close game, mainly because I think South Carolina's been up and down all season. They've been having some troubles. They've never been really quite quality good, but it's a rivalry game. And Clemson played well on offense, but their defense was a little lacking against the Gamecocks. I think Clemson achieved a final score of 37-32. They come out with the win, and that's the most important part for Clemson right now. It doesn't matter for them how they beat their opponents, just that they beat them. It doesn't matter what the score is. They could beat anybody by 1 point at this point in the season. They've got their quality wins already, and they're number 1 in the nation. They just need to win. Next is Colorado at number 23, Utah. I picked Utah to win this game. I thought it would be close because Colorado has played some really good games against really good opponents. And I think Utah had the edge, and they did. They came out on top. Next was number 16, Northwestern at Illinois. I picked Northwestern to win the game. I thought it would be close. It was 24-14 Northwestern, so I got that one right. Next was Penn State at number 5, Michigan. I picked Michigan State. I thought they had a really good chance to just get the win here, improve to that 11-1, and go to the conference championship. And boy, did they ever! 55-16, their largest margin of victory this season. Next was number 14, North Carolina at NC State. This game went pretty much exactly like I said it would. High scoring, but North Carolina was gonna have it all the way. So North Carolina wins that one. Next was number 2, Alabama at Auburn. I would have liked to see Auburn win this game, and they came close. Despite a final score of 29-13, a 16-point difference, that last touchdown for Alabama that made it 29 was a last literally in the final 30 seconds of the game. So that's not quite as bad as it looked. The final was 29-13, but Auburn kept with them for most of the game. In fact, in the first half, at halftime it was 12-6. All of those points, all 18 points scored in the first half of that game, were field goals. Next was number 22, UCLA at USC. I picked UCLA to win this game. I thought UCLA was going to go to the conference championship and play Stanford, and USC won it in style. They beat up UCLA this season, so it was a good win for the Trojans. Next was Connecticut at number 25, Temple. I picked Temple. I thought Connecticut had a great game against Houston last week, but I didn't think they were going to put it together 2 weeks in a row, and I was right. Temple won that game. Next, I had number 18, Ole Miss at number 21, Mississippi State. I picked Mississippi State, and boy, did they crash and burn for at least the first half. They made it look like a game at the end, but Ole Miss won that one hands down. Next was number 13, Florida State, at number 12, Florida. I picked Florida State. I thought Florida didn't have enough offense to beat Florida State, but I thought it would be a close one. I was wrong on it being a close one. Florida won it by 25 points. The final score 27-2. But Florida did show off that the best part about their team is their defense, as the only points they scored were a safety. Next was number 3, Oklahoma. At number 11, Oklahoma State. I actually picked Oklahoma to win this game. I thought Oklahoma looked like a more solid team than Oklahoma State. I feel Oklahoma State had a few games that were very iffy in the middle of the season. And I came out on top on that one, but I did not expect Oklahoma to put a pounding on Oklahoma State like they did. And that brings me to my last game. If it seems like I was rushing, it's because I'm probably going to talk about this game a lot. It was an instant classic. And it was number 6 Notre Dame at number 9 Stanford. When it started off, Stanford scored, Notre Dame scored, Stanford scored, Notre Dame scored. We're suddenly at 14-10, and there have only been 3 offensive drives since Notre Dame's first touchdown was a kickoff return. So Notre Dame's first touchdown was a kickoff return. Stanford scored twice. Then Notre Dame gets a field goal. It's 14-10. And then all of a sudden Notre Dame's defense seems to find a groove and start stopping the Stanford offense. And they get another field goal. And then they get a touchdown. So they go to 14-13. And then they go 20-14. Then their last real offensive drive of the half, Stanford gets a touchdown on 4 plays. And pulls up a 21-20 lead. Notre Dame gets the ball back, starts driving down the field, has a chance to get at least a field goal, go up 23-21 at halftime, and they fumble the ball. A thing that actually did come back to haunt them at the very, very end of the game, sort of. So there was that one. Stanford gets the ball, they kneel it out, go to halftime with a lead 21-20. Notre Dame gets the ball to start the second half, drives down the field goal 23-21. After that, Stanford drives down the field 28-23. After that, Notre Dame drives down the field. It's now 29-28. They went for 2 and missed it. So that brought it to a 29-28. Stanford drives down the field 35-29. So now we get stuck in a stalemate here of them punting back and forth to each other, but then with 6 minutes and 48 seconds left in the game, Notre Dame starts their drive. They take 6 minutes and 18 seconds, 15 plays, 88 yards, and they score the touchdown to tie the game at 35. They go for, no, sorry, I'm doing my scoring wrong, to be down by 1 point. Now they kick a field goal, they kick the extra point, and it's a tie game. 35-35. But if they go for 2 and get it, it's a lead. So they do. And they get it. I think, am I remembering that right? I don't think I'm remembering that right. No, I'm remembering that wrong. They kicked the extra point. So ignore that. That was no drama. I'm mixing games together right now. But they go down the field, they score the touchdown, they kick the extra point. It's now 36-35 Notre Dame. There's 30 seconds left in the game. They kick off, and then like 2 plays into the drive, they have a personal foul on Notre Dame that moves Stanford 15 yards. Now after that, Stanford moves another 30 yards on top of that, kicks the field goal, 45-yard field goal, and makes it to win the game as time expires 38-36. It was a hell of a finish and a heartbreaking loss for the Notre Dame fan base. Just real quick, the numbers at the end. I had 12 of 19 of the ranked games right to this week, and it was my worst week. I got 22 games wrong overall, which, by the way, something I was trying to avoid was 20 games wrong all season, and on the last possible week to do it, I got 20 wrong. So my overall percentage for the year is at 74.63. I had 606 games of 812 right. This next couple of weeks, we'll see what my final percentage is. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe, and hey, I'll see you tomorrow for the predictions.